friends, it's Jessie here. Welcome back to my channel, or if you are new here, welcome. Thank you so much for clicking on my video today. I post new budgeting and lifestyle content here on my channel every single week, so if those are the types of videos you love to watch, make sure you click that subscribe button. For today's video, we are talking all about the budget for the third paycheck in the month of February. This is the paycheck my husband will receive on February 16th. I have you opened up to this calendar page here in my Budget by Paycheck workbook so we can talk about the bills we are going to pay this week. As you know, if you've been watching my videos, I'm on a journey to get to the point where we are a month ahead on our bills. And so what I have done in the past is pay the bills that are due just that week between the day that my husband gets paid and the next time he gets paid, but we're trying to get a little bit ahead, so we are going to be focusing on some bills beyond just the bills that are due this week. So I like to use the highlighter method. This is something I learned from the Budget Mom. You guys know I love the Budget Mom so much. I've taken a lot of inspiration from her budgeting method. Obviously, I use her workbook. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight the payday, the income source essentially that is going to pay these bills with this yellow mild liner. This is in the shade gold actually, and this is the paycheck my husband received on the 16th, so we're going to highlight that, and then we're going to go in and highlight all of the bills we're going to pay with this paycheck, so I can look and just match the colors and see that income paid that bill. So the bills we are going to pay with this paycheck are Amazon on the 20th, as well as Lowe's. We're also going to pay car insurance and bike insurance, and we're going to pay our Subaru payment. So you can see typically I would only have paid this Amazon card and this Lowe's card, but because we're trying to get a little bit ahead, we're tackling some of these other bills as well. With that out of the way, I'm going to flip to a fresh week, fresh paycheck bill tracker. I have my Budget Mom printables punched and put into a Happy Planner disc bound system. These are Happy Planner discs. I love this planner that I have kind of set up for myself using various printables and Happy Planner pages and whatnot. It's my Franken planner, and I did set this up for February with you all, so if you missed that video, check it out. For now, let's just go ahead and break down the paycheck bill tracker. So the paycheck date, I actually had it written on my calendar as February 15th or 16th. Which is it? See, now I've confused myself. February 16th, but because of the holiday, it's actually going to be pushed back a day, so this is actually going to arrive on February 17th. We don't talk about income here on my channel. My husband is our primary income source. I'm a stay-at-home mom. He works as a plumber, so he brings in the majority of the money, and he has requested that I not share income on my channel, and I respect that. So we don't talk about income, so we're going to skip that income section and go right to the bills section. Under the bills category, I write in anything that I am paying with my checking account, so that's any payments that I'll make with my debit card. It's any payments that I will make with a credit card and then pay that credit card with my checking account. We do have some credit cards that we use and pay off every week, just so that we can take advantage of rewards points. We also have some credit cards that carry a balance that we are actively trying to pay off, which we'll talk about when we get down to this extra debt section. But essentially, bills covers anything that I'm going to use my checking account to pay, so that also includes my groceries, because we use the Walmart pickup service for groceries most of the time. And then if we happen to go into a grocery store to do the physical shopping, we just use the debit card for that. So that explains my sort of thought process in what goes under this bills category. Now let's go ahead and put those bills in. So first, like I said, we have grocery. And we are due for a heck of a snowstorm. They are talking about 16 inches of snow. If we get even half that, that's a lot of snow. And that's the kind of snow that makes me want to stay home and not go out and not shop. So I want to make sure that we have more than enough grocery money to buy all of the milk and bread and other things that we need. You know how that goes. When there's a snowstorm, people tend to stock up on those things. We're pretty used to snow here in Michigan, but still, I want to make sure I have enough money to cover my groceries. So I'm actually going to budget a little bit higher than I typically do, just so that we are covered. And we're going to budget $200 for groceries this week. We have made it our mission to not eat out at all in the month of February. And I've discovered that if we're not eating out at all, we need a little bit more in groceries anyway. And like I said, because of that snowstorm, we're just going to budget a little bit higher than usual. I typically budget $150 for my family of 4. But $200 I'm hoping will cover it. All right. So that's my grocery budget. Now let's get those bills in that we talked about. So the first one is Amazon. Amazon, in this case, is our Amazon credit card. This is just the minimum payment on that credit card, the way that we pay bills. This is just the minimum payment for this credit card. The way that we tackle our credit cards is we pay the minimum payments on all of our cards, and then we are inspired by Dave Ramsey and do the debt snowball method, in which we pay all of our extra money that we have essentially towards just one card. We tackle them one card at a time. This Amazon card is not the card that we are currently tackling with our debt snowball, so this is just the minimum payment. And it's a doozy of a minimum payment. We are budgeting $175 for that. Cannot wait to tackle this Amazon card. It's got a high interest rate. We have a very high balance on it. I'm an Amazon shopaholic. I have really been trying to not buy anything on Amazon over the last couple of weeks and really try to focus on, you know, keeping myself in check there. But yeah, $175 to Amazon this week. Next up, we have Lowe's. This is also a minimum payment, and this is a minimum payment on my Lowe's card. My husband also has a Lowe's card. That minimum payment is not due this week. It's my Lowe's card that has the minimum payment. And this is the card we used recently to buy our new refrigerator. You would have heard me talk about that in previous videos. We're actively trying to pay down debt, but we had a situation where we had to get a new fridge, so unfortunately we had to add debt. It stinks, but it is what it is. So this minimum payment is due this week. We did get 0 interest on this refrigerator that we purchased, so that's a great thing. But you still have to make the minimum payment, and for that we're budgeting $30. Next up, we have car insurance. Our car insurance is due. We have car insurance on both our 2017 Subaru Forester and our camper. We were paying a higher payment and we were insuring my son's car as well, but we have since got him his own policy. He's taking care of his own car insurance, and so our payment has come down quite a bit. We were making $250 a month in car insurance payments, and now we are budgeting $165. So that's awesome. Next up, we have my Subaru payments. We are making payments on that Subaru Forester we talked about, and that we are budgeting $390 for. And now let me just take a quick glance at that calendar and make sure I got them all. Amazon, Lowe's, car insurance, bike insurance, Subaru. Yep, so that takes care of all of the bills as well as groceries. So I'm now going to bring in my calculator and we're going to add this up. Okay, so we have 200 plus 175 plus 30 plus 165 plus 390 for a total of $960 in bills this week. Wowza, that's a doozy of a number. Okay, next we're going to move on to cash envelopes. So cash envelopes under this category is all of the money that I anticipate spending this week. We pull out for our expenses in cash, and I put that cash into my wallet. The cash goes into each of the spending categories, and I spend it throughout the week as needed. So the first of our cash envelope categories is my husband's spending money. We budget $40 for him. I give him $40 at the start of the week, and he can use that on absolutely anything that he wants. So that's his spending money. Next we have my spending money, which is also $40. And that's just for us to do any personal spending, anything that's not covered in any of these other categories or in our sinking funds, or if we want to spend money above and beyond what we have budgeted. Say I want to buy myself a new sweater, and I do have a clothing sinking fund for that, but my clothing sinking fund only has like $20 in it right now. So if I want to buy a $30 sweater, I might take that $20 out of my sinking fund, but then the other $10 comes out of my cash envelope. I also can use that to buy planner goodies, which I do quite often, or take myself out for coffee. Again, it's whatever I want to spend that money on. This just gives us the freedom to have money to spend and make us feel like we are not giving up everything in order to pay down debt. So we each get $40 a week for extraneous spending. Next up, we have gas. And for gas, I'm budgeting $40 as well. That is to fill up the tank of our Forester. Gas prices have gone up, so it's taking $40 when my tank is empty to fill it. So that's what I budget, $40 for that. Next up, we have eating out. I mentioned at the start of this video that we are trying not to eat out in the month of February, but I'm still budgeting for it because I'm human, and sometimes, even though the goal is not to eat out, I might eat out. So I don't want to have nothing in case that happens. So we're budgeting $25 for that. I'll pull $25 out of the bank, stick it in my cash envelope, and then at the end of the week, hopefully it'll still be there. That's the goal. Last for my cash envelopes, I have miscellaneous. And I'm going to budget $25 for miscellaneous. And this category just covers anything else that comes up, anything I forgot to budget for. It's essentially a cash buffer to keep me from going over budget in case something comes up I didn't account for. So that is the last of my cash envelopes. So let's add this up as well. 40 plus 40 plus 40 plus 25 plus 25. We have $170 in our envelope total. All right, now we're going to move on to sinking funds. Okay, if you're not familiar with sinking funds are essentially savings, but they're savings with a specific thing in mind, and they typically are things that have a due date. So they're like expenses that happen less often than monthly. I have over a dozen sinking funds that I'm saving for regularly. I don't focus on all of my sinking funds every single week. I just pick and choose the ones that are the most pressing. And so we are adding to 6 of my sinking funds this week, starting with Austin. Now, I put Austin in under sinking funds. This is actually Austin's allowance. Austin is my 13-year-old son. I put him under sinking funds just because I keep his savings envelope in the folder where I keep all of my sinking funds, so it just makes sense to have him here. But this is money that he earns weekly. He can spend it or he can save it or however he wants to do it. So it's not really a sinking fund, but I just keep it there because that's where I keep his money. And for Austin, we're budgeting $20. Next up, I have my anniversary. So this is a good example of a sinking fund. We celebrate our anniversary every single year. We like to go out for a nice dinner. Rather than wait until our anniversary comes up in March and then having to take that money out of that paycheck, we like to save a little bit of money here and there throughout the year so that we have it. So when our anniversary comes up, we can celebrate and not feel guilty about how much money we're spending. We don't have to swipe a credit card. We have it already set aside for a nice celebration. So we're going to add $20 to our anniversary fund this week. Next, we have clothing. I have a sinking fund for clothing so that when my husband or I need clothes, we can, buy them. We don't have to scramble to come up with the money to buy new socks if we need them or whatever. Of course, we could always take money out of the sinking fund for our son's clothes as well. We also, though, have a school expenses sinking fund where we do like back to school shopping for clothes and stuff out of that fund. So that explains that. So for clothing, we're going to add $20 as well. Next, we have haircuts. We're adding $20 to haircuts as well so that when my boys need trims, they can get those. Holidays is next. So our holidays envelope covers all of the holidays that are not Christmas, essentially. We have a separate Christmas sinking fund because we tend to spend a lot more on Christmas than we do the other holidays. But we're going to add some money to holidays because we have Easter coming up. We're going to want to do Easter baskets for our boys. So we're going to add just $20 to holidays. Lastly, I mentioned we have that school expenses sinking fund, and this covers anything and everything for school expenses. If we need to buy pencils, if we need to buy a new backpack, if we need to buy school shoes or school clothes or school pictures, any of our children's school activities, if my son wants to join the soccer team and he needs money for that. This is like an all-encompassing, anything that's a school expense comes out of here. We're going to add $20 to that. So that is all of the sinking funds we are going to add to this week. Like I said, I do have a lot more sinking funds, but these are the ones we're focusing on today. And that's a sinking fund total of $120. All right, now we're going to move on to extra debt, and this is where that debt snowball we talked about comes in. So our debt snowball is comprised of all of the minimum payments from cards that we have paid off. We have been doing this debt-free journey for quite some time now. We've paid off quite a few cards. And we always, every time we pay off a card, we lump the minimum payment we were paying to that card into our debt snowball. We like to make debt payments on a weekly basis. That's how we like to tackle our debt. It makes us feel like we're making progress every single week. It saves us from paying extra in interest. So our debt snowball is up to $173 every single week. That is the bare minimum that we pay towards our debt every single week. Now, my husband's pay is not consistent. He is paid based on commission, so he doesn't get the same amount of pay every single week. If there's a lot of work, he'll get a large paycheck. If there's not a lot of work, he'll get a smaller paycheck. So there have definitely been weeks where we've had to skip the debt snowball entirely, and we're okay with that if that happens. But it's our goal to pay at least $173 towards debt every week, in addition to the minimum payments that we make when those are due. We also strive to pay extra above and beyond that. We don't always get to do that, but at the end of the week, if we have come in under budget, say our bills come in a little bit lower than what we budgeted for, or we don't quite spend all of our cash, that extra money often goes towards an extra debt payment. So we don't budget for that, but I like to have it as a line item in case we are able to come up with extra money somewhere that we can put towards that debt. So the extra debt total is $173, but hopefully when I sit down and do my budget results video at the end of the week, we're able to add a little bit more towards that extra debt. And the last category we have here is extra savings. So I have quite a few savings challenges that I have challenged myself to. So I am doing Savopoly, which is a fun savings challenge printable that I found on mothermeandI.com. I will show that to you quickly. I have it here in the back of my budget binder, and this is what it looks like. So essentially what you do is you roll the dice, you go around the board, and the property that you land on correlates with how much money you saved that week. At the start of February, I sat down and did my rolling for the entire month. You would have seen that if you watched my budget setup video, or my February setup video rather. I'll link that in a card above if you missed it. But for this week, we rolled doubles, and so we actually landed on a couple of spaces for a total of $24 being saved. So for Savopoly, we're going to save $24. Next up, we have the 52 Weeks Savings Challenge. And for the 52 Week Savings Challenge, I guess we got to go back there. I should have done this all at once. It's a free printable that I found on hasslefreesavings.com, and I just go in and select one of these boxes and color it in, and that's how much I save for the week. So because we're saving a little tiny bit more for Savopoly, I'm going to choose a lower number here. That's kind of how I do it. And we're going to save $15 this week. Doesn't really matter what I choose as long as I fill in one box every single week. At the end of the year, I will have saved $1,000 for this challenge. So we're going to save $15 this week. So I'm going to write that in. And the last thing that we are currently saving for is my Nintendo Switch. So I mentioned this last week, this Nintendo Switch fund could technically be under sinking funds, but I have the little envelope for the money I'm collecting to save for the Switch behind my savings tab, so that's why I write it in here rather than sinking funds. It doesn't really matter what category I put anything in. It just helps me to stay organized, to know that that's where that envelope is. And this week for my Nintendo Switch, I'm going to save $10. All right, my friends, so that is a look at the budget for the paycheck my husband will receive on February 17th. I'm pretty excited about it. I think it's going to be a really good week. Typically what I do at this point in the video is I do the cash envelope breakdown with you all, where I write in how much cash I need to pull out of the bank and I break it down by denomination, but I think it actually makes more sense to do this cash envelope breakdown in the video where I stuff my cash envelopes. So we're going to hold off on this for now. You will see the cash envelope breakdown and the cash envelope stuffing in my next video. So make sure that you be on the lookout for that video. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up so that I know. It really helps out my channel for the YouTube algorithm. Don't forget to subscribe so that you never miss a video, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye, friends!